Hi everyone, this is Jessie with Culinary for Everyone, and we're going to have a tasty time, so let's get on to the video. But before we start, I want to give a shout out to the honey guy in Gilliston because his honey is awesome. Alright, so today we're going to be making cinnamon honey mud cakes. And for this recipe you'll need milk, all-purpose flour, baking powder, sea salt, honey, cinnamon, vanilla extract, butter, light brown sugar, jars or cups of your choice, a serving platter of your choice, 2 bowls, and different measuring utensils, and a butter knife, and an electric mixer. So the first thing we're going to need to do is mix all of our dry ingredients. First you need all-purpose flour, and you need a 1/4 measuring spoon. You need 2 scoops, and since we have more mud cakes to make, we're going to be using 4 scoops. And you could always add more in later if you need it. Next, you need your baking powder. You need 1 tablespoon. A pinch of salt. 2 tablespoons of honey. That's a wet ingredient. A teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/8 measuring spoon with your light brown sugar, and you'll need 2 scoops of that. And then you need to mix all your wet ingredients in a bowl. So for that you'll need your milk. You need 1/2 cup of milk. And you could always add more milk in if the consistency is too thick. 2 tablespoons of honey. One-eighth of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And for this recipe, since we are upping it, we'll need 2. And then you'll need 2 tablespoons of softened butter, preferably salted. And then you need to mix both your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients. And you could just use like one of your measuring spoons for this. Mix. Now you'll need your electric mixer. And you're going to want to slowly add in your dry ingredients to your wet. And for when you're using an electric mixer, you're going to want to start on a low power and always have the mixtures in your solution before you start mixing. And now you're going to want to mix this until it's even. Until it's an even, smooth consistency. Slowly adding in your dry ingredients. 1/4 of a cup to fill your jars.
Gonna close the fridge?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Okay, so now we're gonna go put these in the microwave, and the reason that we only put a little bit in the bottom is because these are going to rise. Okay, so let's go drop these in the microwave real quick. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make the topping. For the topping, you'll need a bowl, a cutting board, a silicone spatula, a knife, butter, honey, cinnamon, and vanilla extract. So first you're going to want to cut off half of your butter and put it in your bowl. And then you're going to want to put just a little bit of honey, enough to cover the butter. A little sprinkle of cinnamon. And 1 lid of vanilla extract. And it would be better if you have your butter softened ahead of time so you can easily mix this all together. So you can start by just chopping this into small little pieces with your spatula and then squishing it on the bottom. And you're going to want to mix this until it's a nice thick consistency. Now you can add in your other half of butter, and you can see it's still a little bit lumpy, and that's because this topping melts on the top, and so the clumps of butter will melt when you have it on there. And again, enough to cover the butter, and a little sprinkle of cinnamon. You don't need a vanilla extract this time because you already put it in. And now you just, again, start with chopping it into little pieces and squishing it. And the reason we needed a cutting board is because for the cinnamon honey recipe, you can make different things to go on top. You can make cinnamon apples and things. So today we'll be making some cinnamon apples to go on top. For this recipe, for the cinnamon apple recipe, okay, so our mug cakes just finished in the microwave, so let's go check them. For this, you can just take one mug cake, and you take something like a toothpick or a skewer, and you just stick it in the middle. And if it comes like clean, like this one, then that means your cakes are done. So again, you want to check this one, and this one you can check. Okay, it's clean, so this one is finished. This one didn't come out clean, so this one isn't quite finished, so we'll leave it in for a little bit longer. this one didn't come out clean, so it's not quite done. This one is finished. So we have 3 mug cakes that are finished and 2 are not. So we are going to leave those in the microwave for just a little bit longer. And they won't need that long to cook because if you overcook these, they're not going to be nice and spongy. They're going to be flat and hard. So we'll just put them in for about 2 minutes. Okay. Now I'm going to be showing you how to make cinnamon apples. For this recipe, you'll need brown cinnamon, an apple slicer, however many apples you want to make, honey, and a cutting board and a knife. So you want to start by just pouring your apples. And you don't want to use the core in this recipe, so you take your apples and you pour them. And for this recipe, you can choose to skin your apples or you can leave them like they are. I'm going to leave them like they are because we like the skin on apples. These are a little too thick to fit in the pan, so why we have a knife is you want to cut them in half. Okay, so now that we have all of our apples cut into thinner slices, what you want to do is you want to have a thin layer of honey on the bottom of your dish, and you want to arrange these evenly in the dish. And you can always make a second layer on your cinnamon apples if you need to. As you can see here, you have a nice thin, even layer on your apples. Whoops, I forgot to cut mine. Whoops. Okay, so now you're going to want to sprinkle just a little bit of cinnamon over the top of your apples. And now you can see we have leftover apples, so we're going to go ahead and make another layer. And I'll see you when I'm finished. Okay, so now you want to get a new toothpick to test the new mug cakes. Okay, this one's finished now. This one as well. And so now that our mug cakes are finished, you take your cinnamon apples and you put them in your microwave for 5 minutes at a time. And what you're looking for when you have cinnamon apples in the microwave, you're looking for that nice, gooey, thick consistency. Okay, so now that we have our mug cakes finished, I can show you how to put the topping. Okay, so here we have our topping. And just give it one last mix, because sometimes the mixture likes to separate. And you just want to get a small spoon, like this one, and you take a little scoop and you put it on the top. And since these mug cakes are still warm, you can see that it starts melting immediately as putting it on your cakes. So you just put a small scoop on all your cakes. Okay, so here's how they should look when they're finished. And now we're going to wait for our cinnamon apples to get finished. And I'll see you when they are. A little more in this one. But they're all very, very nice. Ooh, this one is looking very, very nice. can see you're getting that nice melt, and you're getting that nice melt on the edges, and you still have that nice clump while your apples are cooking. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, we have our serving tray here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just arrange these on the tray. It doesn't matter how you arrange them, but for this I'm gonna try and make them as cute as I can. When taking hot glass out of the microwaves, you always want to have protections on your hand because you never know if it's going to be hot, and you could always burn your hand. Okay, so these are looking nice, but they're not quite done. You could still see they're very crispy. So we're going to put them in maybe like 3 more minutes because they're almost done, not quite though. Okay, so that's our timer for our apples, so let's go see. Look delicious. So, we can go ahead and put them on.
One more time.
Looks delicious, so we can go ahead and put them on. So for this step, you can put them on very, very gently. And like I said, you put the apples on, you can already see your topping is melting nicely. So you can see we still have quite a lot of room in the jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a skewer to put my apples down in there. So you just stab it through the top and drop it down in. Put it in like a fan motion for extra decoration. You have your apple. And make sure when you're doing this fan that your peel of the apple is all going the same way. Or if you don't have your peel on there, then make sure the curve is all going the same way. And put your final sprinkle of cinnamon on. Okay, this is how they turned out. They look very nice. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. And if you tried this recipe yourself, leave a comment down below and tell me how it worked. See you next time.